Now let's look at our next item here. And this one's a little different because this is one that you need to this is the process inhibitors. Okay? And this is one where you really need to look at your sales process and see where these inhibitors may be. You know, an inhibitor, as it says here, is a substance that retards or stops an activity. A substance that retards or stops an activity. So in my book, you'd like to roll through your sales process and eliminate every one of these. Some will be easier than others, but this is the sort of thing you have to go through and see. I mean, these are the large, or in some cases very small elements that stop all of the positive elements from doing their parts in eliciting a conversion. So you've honestly, you have to stop and you've got to walk through and look at what are the possible things that can create a breakdown in your sale. You know, this is a hurdle, and it could be psychological, it could be physical, it could be emotional or functional that may halt or slow the conversion process. And so to look at this properly, you've got to go through, and like I just said, we've got a psychological, we've got a physical, emotional, and functional. You actually have to step back, not as yourself, but as somebody for whom your sales page is brand new. Okay? This is brand new stuff. The words on here is the first time they've ever seen them. They haven't spent days writing this thing, okay? And you've got to go through and start to say, okay, from a psychological standpoint, what am I going to run into here? From a functional standpoint, what am I going to see in my whole sales process here that could be an inhibitor? What might slow things down? You know, a classic example, and this is a very specific one, is kind of the idea of a multi-step checkout process online, okay, as opposed to a simple minimal page process. You know, now think about this. The harder a prospect must work, the less likely they are to convert. That's the bottom line. So, you know, think of the old days. You used to go online, go to make a purchase, and you'd go to pay for the thing, and you'd hit, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And you click the OK button. First page you get asks for your name and email address. So you fill that in, hit OK. Next page asks for your credit card info. You go ahead, you fill that in, okay? Hit OK. Next page asks for your address. So you fill that one in. Hit OK. The next page says, and where do you want this shipped to? And this was before they'd have a little checkbox on the page that said, click, my shipping address is the same as my billing address. You know, so you'd hit that. Then they'd take you to a page that summarized the whole order, and then to the final page. You know, so here we've got like a 6-step series of pages here. You know, so what's been done with that? Well, a lot of work has been done to streamline the checkout process, adding and deleting the necessary elements that can create an effect. This even gets into which words are placed where on a checkout page. But the bottom line is they have summarized the entire thing, and they've even looked at what needs to be there, what do we not need. But they've summarized the entire thing down into this single page. And they've done that so that even the order in which the things are asked for makes sense to the user. So you can fill this thing out and move on through. Now, a short time ago, I heard a friend of mine speak at Yannick Silver's Underground Seminar 5. And this guy's name is Perry Belcher. Awesome guy, great guy. Had a great time with him. Now, when he was actually speaking was on the very first day of this whole event. And he spoke about a wide variety of elements in his life, ups and downs in his life. But some of what one little piece of what he talked about really stands out for what we're doing here. What he was talking about was this: he has sold a lot of products through one shopping cart. So what he introduced was a super easy way to get an upsell via one shopping cart that eliminates all inhibitors. And he called this the risk-free upsell. Now normally, when one makes a purchase these days, it's become quite normal, especially in the internet marketing world, for an upsell or a one-time offer to be made to the buyer. These are generally presented right after the checkout process has taken place. Okay, you got to figure processes. They've bought one product. Okay, they've taken it, they've paid for the thing. They probably still have the credit card in their hand, or it's at least sitting on the desk next to them. And it should be a pretty easy way for them to simply add another item to their order, right? Well, let's kind of stop and think about this for a second. Yes, they're in the buying mode. Obviously, they just made a purchase from you. And yes, they do still have the credit card within reach. It's sitting there on the desk. But do they really want to fill in all of their credit card info a second time? Now that's the big question. They just spent, and the big picture things, they spent 2 minutes filling it out, but to them it seemed like 5 or 10 minutes filling in their name, their address. They got to scrutinize that credit card, make sure they've entered that info all correctly, get it all set again, so they can hit click and go on. And yes, hitting them with this upsell works much better than sending them an email afterwards with an upsell. But again, do they want to fill out all of their info from top to bottom? That's the big question. Well, here was Perry's solution, and I absolutely love this. Now, what if that customer only had to click a single button that added that back-end offer to their purchase? So on their thank you page, you could say, thank you for purchasing the whatever. Now, are you aware that the product you ordered is an online streaming version? For an additional $10, you can have the entire thing packed on CD and sent out to you, for $10 only. Click this button to add this to your offer. That's all they had to do. All they had to do was click a single button that said, add this to my order, please. That's pretty cool. That single button there. They click that, boom, it's added to the order. So the answer to this was, is a big fat yes. Do you think they did it? Yeah. And conversions went through the roof with a move like this. That's just an awesome, awesome factor. Now, let's take another look here at another inhibitor. This time, we're going to look at some elements in copywriting. And as a big fat blue word here, objections. This is something that comes up for everyone as they go through a sales letter. You read through the letter. These are the possible reasons for maybe not buying, or the questions that a prospect may have that cause some level of disbelief. So as they're reading through the thing, a lot of pieces come up for them. They figure there's too much competition. This one looks like all the others. Why aren't they doing it themselves? I can't do all of that myself. What if it doesn't work for me? And then there's a myriad of other factors. So let's look at each of these. This is where in this next one here, the job of a great copywriter is to anticipate these objections that may slow or flat out stop the purchase process. So a great copywriter will take and address the solutions or answers to each issue and make working with them a positive element in the sale. Let's look at this one. Too much competition. If somebody is hitting, they say, well, this looks great, but there's going to be too much competition. You have to address that one in your writing. That's where the great copywriter will say, now, what are the, now we understand that you may have some questions about these products. What might those be? Well, first one could be, is there going to be too much competition? The answer to that is a big no. That's why we're only releasing 300 of these products, 300 of them worldwide, so that no one else anywhere will have access to this except 300 people. This one looks like all the others. Well, that's an easy one. If it looks like all the others, yeah, that's fine. Then you have to go ahead and point out, and maybe it's with a chart that shows the differences that between the products. Yeah, say you're selling a survey product. Well, yeah, they ask these different types of survey questions. You can put answers here. You can do this. You can do that. But then let's go ahead and put in the other pieces below that our product offers that the others don't. Now, why aren't they doing it themselves? This one is an interesting one. I think this one gets to this one kind of aims at that person who is making say $2 million doing CPA ads, and the question is, well, why are they selling this product when they're making $2 million a year doing their other thing? And the answer to this one actually ends up being a pretty interesting one. I mean, they've done a little bit of coaching. They went ahead and they did work with a small little handful of people, and they realized, shoot, I kind of enjoy this. I'm still making my $2 million, but you know what else? I'm also getting to work with these people. I'm getting to help them and help mold them. It isn't hurting what I'm making over here, but it is letting me work with these people and bring them along. That's pretty darn cool. That's the sort of thing you include. I can't do all of that myself. Well, you're just going to show them, blanketly how you go through it. Or this is also a place where you may want to put in a little box, worried about trying to produce all of this yourself. We do have another option that deals with that. Click here to look at that. They click that one. It opens up a new window, shows them where one of their people is going to go through and set everything up for them. And then finally, what if it doesn't work for me? Well, this is a perfect place to bring in your guarantee. Again, look, you've got we're giving you 365 days where you can work with this material. You can try it out. You can kick it. You can slam it on the ground. You can set everything up. You can try to run it. Maybe it sits on a shelf and you don't do anything with it. Whatever you do to it, you got 365 days to work with it. At the end of that time, if somehow it doesn't seem that it's worked for you, all you have to do is email, and we will go ahead, email it, and then you can send your package back in. As soon as we receive it, boom, we'll give you an immediate refund. No problem. So again, that great copywriter, like I said, has got to take and address the solutions or answers to each issue and make working with them a positive element in the sale. And you can see this on main sales pages. Sometimes you'll see it as when somebody tries to leave a sales page, they may have a window that pops up. It says, now wait, why are you leaving without making a purchase? Are some of these did you have any of these questions? And they'll run through the questions for them and answer them, and then they'll give them a link to go ahead and go make the purchase.